My beloved child, I heard every whisper you thought was too small to matter. I heard every tear that fell when no one was watching. I heard the prayers you could not finish because pain interrupted your words. I heard the silence between your sentences, the ache behind your smile, the exhaustion hidden beneath your strength. I heard you loud and clear. You thought heaven was quiet because nothing changed overnight. You thought I was distant because the answer did not come when you expected it. You thought I had forgotten you because the waiting became heavy. But listen carefully now, my silence was never absence, my delay was never rejection. My waiting room was never abandonment. I was working in places you could not see. While you cried, I was strengthening you. While you waited, I was aligning doors. While you were confused, I was clearing paths. While you thought you were losing time, I was protecting your future. What feels delayed to you has often been divine protection from what was premature. Some blessings must mature before they arrive. Some doors must be prepared before they open. Some battles must end before peace can fully enter your life. Trust this truth. When I move, it will not be random. It will be precise, purposeful, and perfectly timed. I know you have asked, how much longer? I know you have wondered. Why me? I know you have questioned whether your best days are already behind you. But I say to you now, no, your story is not ending in disappointment. Your chapter is not closing in defeat. This season of pressure is not proof of destruction. It is preparation for expansion. Do not let temporary pain make permanent conclusions. The enemy wanted you discouraged. Fear wanted you frozen. Doubt wanted you to quit one step before breakthrough, but I kept you breathing. I kept you standing. I kept a fire alive inside you when everything around you felt cold. That strength was not accidental. That endurance was not luck. That was my hand carrying you when you could not carry yourself. You are still here for a reason. There are promises over your life that have not expired. There are dreams buried under disappointment that I am calling back to life. There are gifts inside you that hardship could not kill. There is purpose in you that delay could not erase. You have mistaken the pause for the end, but I tell you now, it was only an intermission before the next act. Rise again. Rise from the thoughts that told you it was over. Rise from the shame of past mistakes. Rise from the labels others placed on you. Rise from the fatigue of carrying yesterday into today. You do not have to stay in the place where life wounded you. Healing is calling your name. I am not asking you to understand everything. I am asking you to trust me while everything unfolds. Faith is not pretending storms do not exist. Faith is believing I remain Lord in the middle of them. Faith is praising before the evidence appears. Faith is walking forward while answers are still forming. Faith is saying, even now God is able. So lift your head. The nights of crying have counted for something. The lonely seasons have produced wisdom. The closed doors have redirected you. The betrayals have revealed who was real. The disappointments have deepened your discernment. Nothing you endured was wasted when placed in my hands. I redeem what pain tried to steal. I can restore joy where sorrow lived. I can rebuild confidence where rejection struck. I can open doors no person can shut. I can bring peace where chaos ruled. I can turn what was meant to break you into the testimony that strengthens others. Do not envy those who seem ahead of you. Their timeline is not your assignment. Your journey has custom grace. Your calling has custom timing. What I have for you does not require comparison. It requires obedience. Stay close to me. Pray even when words are few. Worship even when emotions are low. Keep showing up, keep choosing hope, keep taking the next faithful step. Small obedience creates large outcomes over time, and hear me clearly now. What is coming will make sense of what happened. What is opening will explain what closed. What is healing will answer what hurt. What is arriving will reveal why you had to wait. I heard you loud and clear. I heard the prayer for your family. I heard the cry about finances. I heard the fear about your future. I heard the concern about your health. I heard the heartbreak you told no one about. I heard the secret battle behind your public smile. And because I heard you, I am moving, not always in ways you expect. Not always on the schedule you demand, but always with wisdom, always with love. Always for your good, so breathe again, hope again, dream again, believe again. This is not the end of your testimony. This is the turning point. This is the moment you stop interpreting silence as abandonment. This is the hour you remember that unseen movement is still movement. I am with you in the waiting. I am with you in the battles. I am with you in the rebuilding. I am with you in the breakthrough. Stand firm, child of God. The same tears that watered the ground will soon witness the harvest. The same voice that cried in pain will speak in gratitude. The same heart that nearly gave up will overflow with praise. I heard you loud and clear. Now hear me loud and clear. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are not too late. You are not disqualified. You are not finished. Your next season is being prepared. Walk forward in faith. Walk forward in courage. Walk forward in expectation. For I, your God, am still writing miracles in places you cannot yet see. My beloved child, I heard you when no one else did. I heard the prayer you whispered into your pillow at night, when tears soaked the place where you rested your head. I heard the words you could not fully speak, because sorrow tightened your throat and pain stole your voice. I heard the cry hidden behind your silence, the ache you covered with a smile, the heaviness you carried while telling everyone that you were fine. Nothing about your pain was invisible to me. Nothing about your struggle escaped my attention. You may have felt alone in those moments, but you were never unheard. I heard you in the early morning when worry woke you before the sun rose. I heard you when your mind raced with fears about tomorrow and questions about how everything would work out. I heard you when you sat in darkness wondering if things would ever change. I heard your breathing grow heavy under the weight of uncertainty. I heard every anxious thought that passed through your heart. Even when no words left your lips, heaven understood the language of your burden. I heard you when you asked why doors kept closing. I heard you when you questioned why people walked away, why opportunities slipped through your hands, why life seemed to become harder when you were trying your best. I heard the frustration in your spirit when you gave effort and received disappointment. I heard the confusion when you tried to understand seasons that made no sense. I heard the exhaustion that comes from fighting battles you never asked for. I heard you when you felt forgotten. I heard the quiet question in your soul asking if I still remembered your name, your dreams, your promises, your future. I heard the moments when you compared your journey to others and wondered why their lives seemed to move forward while yours felt delayed. I heard the pain of watching others celebrate while you were still surviving. I heard the loneliness of waiting while everyone else appeared to be arriving. I heard you when your faith felt weak. I heard the trembling prayer that said, God, I want to believe, but I am tired. I heard the words, help me trust you again. I heard the cry, please do not leave me here. I heard every fragile sentence that came from a weary heart. You thought you needed perfect faith for me to respond, but I listen even to trembling faith. I hear prayers spoken through tears, through confusion, through brokenness, through uncertainty. I heard you when you carried responsibilities that felt too heavy. I saw the pressure you felt trying to provide, trying to care for others, trying to hold everything together while you were falling apart inside. I heard the stress that built in your chest when bills increased, needs multiplied, and answers seemed few. I heard the silent panic that visited you when no one knew how much you were carrying. I heard the sighs you released when you were alone, wondering how much longer you could endure. I heard you when your heart was wounded by people you trusted. I heard the pain of betrayal, the sting of rejection, the confusion of being misunderstood. I heard the questions that followed heartbreak. I heard you ask why kindness was met with cruelty, why loyalty was repaid with distance, why love was answered with silence. I heard the part of you that wanted to close your heart forever because being open had become painful. I heard you when regret tried to haunt you. I heard the memories that replayed in your mind, the mistakes you wished you could undo, the moments you wished you had handled differently. I heard the guilt whispering that you had ruined too much to recover. I heard shame trying to convince you that your failures were your identity. I heard the battle inside you between hope and condemnation. I heard you when sickness, weakness, or fear touched your body. I heard every prayer for healing, every request for strength, every plea for peace. I heard the nights when discomfort made rest difficult, and the days when fear made joy feel distant. I heard your concerns about the future and your longing to feel whole again. I heard every moment you asked for relief. I heard you when you felt spiritually dry. I heard the seasons when prayer felt difficult and worship felt far away. I heard the disappointment you felt when emotions did not match your desire to be close to me. I heard your concern that maybe something was wrong because you could not feel what you once felt. I heard the hunger beneath your dryness, the longing beneath your silence, the desire beneath your struggle. My child, understand this truth. Hearing you has never been the problem. I have never missed one prayer. I have never ignored one tear. I have never overlooked one burden. The issue was never whether your voice reached heaven. It did. The issue was whether you could trust that I was listening even when circumstances stayed the same. Many times you measured my attention by visible change. If the door did not open, you assumed I was not listening. If the pain did not leave quickly, you assumed I had turned away. If the answer delayed, you believed heaven had become silent. But my listening is not proven only by instant results. I hear deeply, completely, constantly. I hear what you say, what you mean, what you fear, what you hope, and what you cannot express. I hear the prayers you pray for others and the secret prayers you pray for yourself. I hear the requests you speak boldly and the desires you barely dare to mention. I hear the dreams you stopped talking about because disappointment embarrassed you. I hear the goals you buried because time passed. I hear the hope you hide because you are afraid of being hurt again. I hear the parts of your heart no one else can access. I hear the grief you learn to function through. I hear the longing you cannot explain. I hear the emptiness success could not fill. I hear the fatigue sleep did not solve. I hear the desire to start over, to be restored, to become whole, to feel joy again. I hear you when all you can say is my name. I hear you when all you can do is cry. I hear you when all you can manage is silence. I hear you when prayer becomes a sigh, when worship becomes a whisper, when faith becomes one more step taken through tears. Do not believe the lie that you must be eloquent to be heard. Do not believe the lie that you must be strong to be noticed. Do not believe the lie that only polished prayers move heaven. I listen to the honest heart, the humble cry, the broken whisper, the desperate reaching soul. Before words form on your tongue, I know them. Before tears fall from your eyes, I understand them. Before fear fully settles in your mind, I see it. Before you ask for help, I am aware of the need. My awareness of you is constant, personal, and full of compassion. When others dismissed your pain, I heard you. When others misunderstood your motives, I heard you. When others moved on quickly from what deeply wounded you, I heard you. When you questioned your worth because of how people treated you, I heard you. When loneliness sat beside you like a shadow, I heard you. Even now, as you wonder what comes next, I hear the question beneath your calm face. I hear the hope you are afraid to revive. I hear the cautious prayer asking if this season can really change. I hear the small spark inside you that wants to believe again. I hear the weary part of you asking if relief is possible. I hear the deeper part of you still reaching for me. My beloved child, what you called delay was often my protection. What you named rejection was many times my mercy. What you saw as closed doors were moments when I was guarding you from paths that looked promising, but carried pain you could not yet recognize. You measured the season by what did not happen, but I measured it by what did not harm you. You wanted answers quickly because your heart was tired of waiting. You wanted movement because stillness felt uncomfortable. You wanted certainty because the unknown felt heavy. Yet there were times, if I had given you what you asked for in the moment you asked, it would have become a burden instead of a blessing. Timing changes the weight of every gift. What is beautiful in one season can be destructive in another. You asked for doors to open, but some rooms held people who would have drained your peace. Some opportunities carried titles, but no true purpose. Some invitations looked like advancement, but were distractions dressed in attractive clothing. You saw the shine on the outside, but I saw the hidden cost behind the offer. I saw the stress, the compromise, the confusion, the loss of focus that would have followed. You asked why certain relationships ended. You wondered why someone walked away when you gave loyalty, care, and sincerity. You questioned why your effort could not make them stay. But there are departures that save you from deeper heartbreak later. There are endings that spare you years of sorrow. There are people who leave because they were never assigned to remain in the next chapter of your life. What hurt in the moment often prevented wounds that would have cut deeper with time. You asked for immediate success, yet I knew your character needed strengthening before your platform increased. You desired visibility, but I knew hidden seasons were building substance within you. If influence arrives before wisdom, pressure crushes what applause elevates. If increase comes before maturity, blessings can become chains. If doors open before discipline forms, opportunities can be wasted through unpreparedness. So I slowed certain things down. I let you grow roots before I allowed branches to stretch outward. I taught you endurance before promotion. I developed patience before abundance. I trained your heart in quiet places before placing you in visible ones. You thought nothing was happening because growth was underground. But roots matter more than leaves when storms begin to blow. You asked for financial breakthroughs. I heard every concern, every calculation, every prayer over bills and responsibilities. Yet there were moments when more money without more wisdom would have created larger problems. Resources require stewardship. Increase requires discipline. I was not only trying to bless your hands, I was teaching your habits. I was shaping your decisions, so future provision would remain instead of disappearing through patterns that needed healing. You asked for healing from pain, but some wounds required process rather than instant removal. If I removed the symptom without healing the source, the same pain would return in a different form. So I used time to uncover what was hidden. I exposed patterns that hurt you. I revealed beliefs that limited you. I showed you places in your heart where fear had settled and where self-worth had been bruised. Healing often moves deeper than relief. You asked for clarity, yet sometimes clarity comes only after obedience. You wanted the whole map, while I was asking for the next step. You wanted certainty before movement, but faith often grows through walking, while details remain incomplete. If I explained every turn in advance, trust would not deepen. Dependence would not mature, courage would not awaken. You called it delay when prayers were not answered in the month you expected. You called it silence when circumstances looked unchanged. You called it distance when emotions felt dry, but many unseen things were being aligned beyond your view. Hearts were shifting, doors were preparing, wrong paths were closing. Necessary lessons were forming, strength was increasing. Timing was arranging itself with precision greater than what your eyes could calculate. You compare time through calendars, I compare time through readiness. You asked how much longer, while I asked how much deeper. You wanted speed, but I wanted stability. You wanted arrival, but I wanted foundation. You wanted relief, but I wanted wholeness. You wanted the fruit, but I was tending the roots. There were seasons when I said no, because yes would have fed an appetite that was not healthy. There were seasons when I said wait, because haste would have entangled you in avoidable pain. There were seasons when I redirected you, because what you desired was smaller than what I intended. A closed door can feel offensive to desire, but it is often compassionate to destiny. Think of the opportunities you once mourned that later proved unfit. Think of the people you once chased who later revealed their character. Think of the plans that collapsed only for better paths to appear later. Think of the moments you resisted change, then later thanked me for what ended. Memory itself has testified that delay can carry mercy. You feared missing out, yet I was preserving you. You feared being left behind, yet I was positioning you. You feared losing time, yet I was redeeming future pain. What feels slow to the impatient heart may be perfect to eternal wisdom. There are blessings that require the right environment. Seeds planted in the wrong season struggle, even if they are good seeds. Rain at the wrong moment can damage what rain at the right moment would nourish. In the same way, some things you desired needed a better internal climate within you and a better external setting around you. I was also teaching you to separate desire from desperation. Desperation grabs anything that looks like relief. Wisdom waits for what carries peace. Desperation lowers standards to escape discomfort. Wisdom holds boundaries because short-term comfort can create long-term regret. Delay exposed where anxiety was trying to make choices that peace would never choose. You learned to pray differently in waiting seasons. At first you asked only for outcomes. Later you began asking for wisdom, healing, discernment, and strength. At first you wanted doors. Later you wanted purpose. At first you wanted escape. Later you wanted transformation. Delay refined not only your circumstances, but your desires. You became stronger than you realized. You learned to stand without constant reassurance. You learned to continue without visible applause. You learned to trust without immediate evidence. You learned that identity is not built by possession alone. You learned that peace can exist before answers arrive. Even the disappointments that visited you were not wasted. They loosened your grip on illusions. They taught you not to idolize what was never meant to save you. They exposed where you expected people, status, or outcomes to provide what only I can sustain. Painful lessons often protect future joy. What is delayed is not always denied. What is paused is not always cancelled. What is hidden is not always absent. Sometimes it is being prepared with care too deep for haste to understand. When the right thing arrives in the right time, it carries a different weight. It comes with clarity instead of confusion. It comes with peace instead of panic. It comes with maturity instead of recklessness. It comes with gratitude instead of entitlement. It comes with readiness instead of chaos. So when you remember the doors that did not open, do not only think of loss. Remember the traps you never entered. Remember the tears you were spared. Remember the detours that kept you from collisions. Remember the pauses that matured your heart. Remember the waiting that saved you from carrying blessings you were not yet ready to hold. My beloved child, the pain you carried was never meaningless. The tears you cried were never wasted. The nights you endured in silence were not empty hours lost to suffering. What wounded you came with weight, but it did not come with the authority to define your future. Pain may visit your story, but it does not get to write the final chapter. I am able to take what tried to crush you and turn it into something that strengthens you, teaches you, and equips you for the calling ahead. You often believed pain only came to destroy. You saw heartbreak, disappointment, betrayal, delay, and hardship as evidence that life was against you. You wondered why difficult seasons found you when you were trying so hard to do what was right. Yet many times, the same pressure that hurt you was also shaping you. Fire can burn, but it can also refine. Pressure can wound, but it can also strengthen what was weak. What felt like breaking was often the process of becoming. You did not know how strong you were until life demanded strength. You did not know how deep your faith could grow until circumstances forced you beneath the surface. You did not know how much wisdom could be born in you until confusion made you seek truth with urgency. Hard seasons revealed capacities within you that comfort would have left sleeping. The rejection you faced taught you that your worth is not determined by who accepts or overlooks you. You once tied your value to people choosing you, praising you, staying with you, understanding you. Then life allowed moments when others walked away or failed to see your heart. It hurt deeply, but it also taught you that identity built on human approval is fragile. I began teaching you to stand in worth that does not rise and fall with opinions. The betrayal you endured taught you discernment. You once trusted every smile, every promise, every charming word. You believed sincerity in you, guaranteed sincerity in others. Then painful experiences opened your eyes. You learned to listen beneath words, to observe patterns, to recognize inconsistency, to value character over performance. Discernment is often born where innocence was wounded. The delay you suffered taught you patience and endurance. You wanted immediate answers, quick relief, visible progress. But the waiting season trained muscles in your spirit that instant success never could. You learned how to continue without applause, how to trust without evidence, how to remain steady when emotions shifted. Endurance became part of your character. The loneliness you felt taught you my presence. When crowds were absent, when support was limited, when human comfort could not reach every ache, you discovered that I can meet you in hidden places. You learned that silence is not emptiness when I am there. You learned that being alone is not the same as being abandoned. You learned to seek strength from deeper wells. The mistakes you made taught you humility and wisdom. There were choices you regret, words you wish you could take back, decisions that brought consequences. Shame tried to use those moments to convince you that you were ruined. But repentance and reflection can turn failure into instruction. You learned what shortcuts cost. You learned what pride blinds. You learned what wounds within you needed healing, so they would not keep choosing harm. The grief you carried deepened your compassion. Before pain touched you closely, some struggles of others were theoretical. You could sympathize, but not fully understand. Then loss entered your own life. Tears became personal. Suddenly, you recognized pain in the eyes of others. You became softer, kinder, slower to judge, quicker to care. Suffering often opens hearts in ways comfort cannot. The battles with anxiety taught you dependence. You discovered that control is limited, that certainty cannot always be manufactured, that outcomes cannot be forced through worry. You learned to breathe through moments you could not solve. You learned to pray when thoughts raced. You learned that peace is not always the absence of questions, but the presence of trust in the middle of them. The season when doors closed taught you redirection. You mourned opportunities that slipped away. You thought certain paths were essential. Yet closed doors forced you to reconsider, reevaluate, and move differently. Many endings protected you from roads that would have drained your purpose. Many disappointments rerouted you toward assignments more aligned with who you are becoming. Pain also revealed hidden wounds that success could have masked. Hardship exposed fears you needed to confront, insecurities you needed healed, habits you needed to break, lies you had believed about yourself. What surfaced felt uncomfortable, but exposure was part of restoration. Infection must be uncovered before it can be cleansed. There were days you believed you were falling apart. But sometimes what falls apart are false identities, unhealthy attachments, and fragile illusions. Sometimes the shell must crack for growth to emerge. Sometimes the version of you built only to survive must weaken so the version of you designed to thrive can rise. You ask why pain had to be part of the journey. Not every wound was sent by me, and not every injustice was my desire. Human choices, broken systems, and life in a fractured world create real suffering. But hear this clearly, even what I did not author, I can still redeem. I can enter damaged places and bring healing. I can enter ashes and bring beauty. I can enter loss and bring wisdom. I can enter tears and bring strength. Your testimony is forming where your scars once spoke only of sorrow. The places you thought disqualified you may become the very places from which you help others heal. The struggle you survived can become language for someone still trapped in theirs. The comfort you receive can become comfort you give. The wisdom you earned through tears can guide those walking through storms now. There are people you will understand because you have suffered. There are hearts you will reach because you have been broken. There are burdens you will help carry because you know what heaviness feels like. There are prayers you will pray with authority because desperation once taught you how to cry out. Do not despise the chapters that hurt. Do not glorify pain, but do not waste it either. Let it teach what it came near enough to teach. Let it loosen what needed releasing. Let it deepen what needed roots. Let it awaken gifts hidden beneath comfort. The resilience inside you now was forged somewhere. The compassion in you was shaped somewhere. The wisdom in you was earned somewhere. The boundaries you now keep were learned somewhere. The discernment you now carry was sharpened somewhere. Much of what you now value was clarified through contrast. You are not merely someone who was hurt. You are someone being transformed. You are not only a person who survived loss. You are a person gaining depth. You are not just the sum of wounds collected over time. You are a life being rebuilt with greater strength. When memories return, let them remind you not only of what happened, but of what grew in you because of it. Let them remind you that you are still standing. Let them remind you that despair did not consume you. Let them remind you that grace met you in dark places. The enemy wanted pain to make you bitter, silent, closed, and hopeless. But I can use the same pain to make you wiser, deeper, compassionate, awake, and strong. What was intended to shrink your life can become the soil from which purpose rises. So do not say your suffering produced nothing. Do not say those tears were for nothing. Do not say the waiting only stole from you. Seeds often disappear into dark ground before anyone sees the harvest. Roots grow unseen before branches stretch into light. Transformation often happens quietly before it becomes visible. I am still working in the places where you hurt most. I am still bringing meaning where confusion once lived. I am still weaving strength through memories that once only carried sting. I am still turning wounds into wisdom, pressure into perseverance, sorrow into compassion, and pain into purpose. My beloved child, hear this in the depth of your spirit. Rise again, not in your own strength alone, but in the courage I place within you when everything in you feels weak. You were never created to remain where pain left you. You were never designed to settle in the aftermath of disappointment. There is a rising that I have already written into your story. Even when your emotions feel buried under exhaustion and your thoughts are heavy with memory, I call you upward again, not because you have mastered everything, but because I have not left you in the place where you fell. I know what it feels like to sit in the aftermath of loss and wonder if you have the strength to stand again. I know how the mind replays moments you wish had gone differently. I know how hesitation grows when trust has been broken and confidence has been shaken. But I also know what I have placed inside you. There is a resilience in you that does not come from circumstances, but from something deeper. Something I have preserved even through seasons you thought would break you completely. Rise again, not as the version of you that depended only on visible strength, but as the version that has learned to endure when strength feels hidden. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is movement in spite of fear. Faith is not the absence of questions. Faith is trust that remains even when answers are delayed. I am not asking you to erase what you feel, but to refuse letting what you feel become your final direction. There are voices that have tried to define you by what you went through. There are memories that tried to convince you that falling once means staying down forever. But I am speaking over you now, and I am reminding you that falling is not the end of becoming. Even the earth receives what falls and still produces growth from it. Nothing I allow to touch your life is without the possibility of transformation. You have carried weight that was heavier than others could see. You have smiled through moments where your inner world was collapsing quietly. You have continued when quitting felt easier. I saw every unseen step. I heard every silent prayer. I counted every tear, and I am the one who now speaks life into what felt drained. Rise again, not by ignoring your pain, but by refusing to be ruled by it. There is a difference between acknowledging wounds and surrendering identity to wounds. You can remember what happened without becoming what happened to you. You can carry lessons without carrying chains. You can honor what you survived without living as though survival is your final destination. There is a courage, I am awakening in you, that does not depend on perfect conditions. It rises even when questions remain. It stands even when outcomes are not visible. It moves even when uncertainty still surrounds you. This courage is not loud in appearance, but it is steady in foundation. It is not built on emotions alone, but on something deeper that does not collapse under pressure. You may feel like your steps are small right now, but small steps taken in faith carry more weight than large steps taken in fear. I am not measuring you by speed, but by direction. I am not evaluating you by perfection, but by willingness to continue. Even when progress feels slow, I see the strength it takes to not give up. There were moments when life pushed you backward, and you assumed backward movement meant failure. But sometimes, what feels like going back is actually repositioning. Sometimes I step you away from noise so you can hear clearly again. Sometimes I slow your pace so your foundation becomes stable enough to carry what is coming. Stability matters more than appearance of movement. Do not let fear of repetition stop you from rising again. Just because something did not work before does not mean your future is limited to past outcomes. Growth changes perspective, healing changes decisions, wisdom changes direction. The you who rises now is not the same as the you who fell before. There is depth in you that was not there then. There is awareness in you that was not formed then. There is strength in you that was not yet developed then. I am restoring your ability to hope without apology. Hope is not foolish when it is anchored in me. Hope is not denial of reality. Hope is trust that reality is not final authority. I am teaching you again how to see beyond what is currently visible. What you see is not all that exists. What you feel is not all that is forming. What you experience in one moment is not the full story I am writing. Rise again in prayer, even when words feel limited. Rise again in trust, even when emotions feel uncertain. Rise again in obedience, even when understanding is incomplete. I do not require you to see the full path before taking the next step. I only ask you to take the step that is in front of you with what you have right now. There is healing still unfolding in places you thought were already finished. There is strength still being built in areas you assumed were already resolved. There is restoration happening beneath the surface of your awareness. Growth is often quiet before it becomes visible. You may feel like your voice has been reduced by everything you have faced, but I am breathing strength back into your voice. You will speak again with clarity. You will stand again with confidence. You will move again with purpose, not because nothing happened, but because what happened did not have the final word. Do not wait until every feeling is perfect to begin again. Do not wait until every question is answered to trust again. Do not wait until every fear disappears to move again. Faith often begins while uncertainty is still present. Courage often begins while trembling is still present. Renewal often begins while recovery is still in progress. I am calling you into motion, not into perfection. I am calling you into trust, not into control. I am calling you into presence with me, not into performance for approval. There is a steadiness I am forming within you that will not collapse when external things shift. Even now, as you read these words, something within you is stirring again. Something that pain could not completely silence. Something that disappointment could not fully erase. Something that waiting could not fully destroy. That stirring is not accidental. It is a reminder that life is still flowing through you in ways you do not fully understand yet. You are not finished where you paused. You are not defined by where you stumbled. You are not limited by what slowed you down. You are being called upward again, into a place where your steps are guided. Your heart is steadied, and your courage is being rebuilt in ways that will surprise even you as you begin to see yourself walking again into places you once thought you would never return to. Into possibilities you had quietly buried. Into strength you did not realize was still growing within you. My beloved child, hear this with a heart that is learning to hope again. The season you are stepping into is not random, it is not forgotten, and it is not delayed beyond purpose. What you have called waiting has been preparation. What you have called silence has been alignment. What you have called distance has been formation. There is a season unfolding ahead of you that carries the weight of promise. Not because life has suddenly become easy, but because I have been shaping you for what you once only dreamed about from afar. You have walked through valleys that tried to convince you that nothing new would come. You have endured nights where your thoughts felt louder than your faith. You have carried questions that did not receive immediate answers. Yet even in those places, something was being written that your eyes could not yet read. The story did not stop where pain appeared. The story continued in hidden ways, building toward a moment you are now approaching. Even if you do not fully recognize it yet, there is a shift forming in your life that is deeper than emotion. It is not built on temporary excitement. It is not based on sudden change alone. It is rooted in a process that has been unfolding quietly beneath everything you have experienced. What you are stepping into will not feel like noise or confusion. It will carry clarity. It will carry direction. It will carry confirmation in ways that align pieces you once thought were unrelated. The season ahead will reveal why certain doors closed, why certain people left, why certain paths became blocked, and why certain prayers seemed unanswered at the time you prayed them. Understanding will not always come before the journey, but often after you have walked far enough to see the pattern of my hand leading you. What once felt like scattered experiences will begin to form a picture that carries meaning. There is restoration coming to places you did not think could be restored. Not everything will return in the same form, but what returns will carry maturity, peace and stability that was not present before. I am not only bringing you forward, I am also healing what forward movement requires. There are parts of your heart that are still being softened, still being strengthened, still being prepared to receive what could not be carried in earlier seasons. You may have thought your delay disqualified you, but I am showing you that timing was never meant to compete with destiny. The season ahead is not measured by how fast you arrive, but by how well you are positioned when you do. What I am bringing into your life will not overwhelm you. Because I have been building capacity within you quietly through everything you survived. There are doors that will open without struggle, not because you forced them, but because alignment has been happening behind the scenes. There are connections forming that will not drain you, but strengthen you. There are opportunities coming that will not confuse you, but clarify your purpose. What once required constant striving will begin to flow with a sense of rightness you have long been waiting to experience. Do not assume that everything ahead will look like what you imagined in the past. Some blessings will surprise you in form, but not in purpose. Some answers will arrive differently than expected, but they will still carry peace. I am not limited to your previous definitions of good. I see further than your disappointment and deeper than your desire. What I am preparing for you carries wisdom woven into every detail. You will notice strength rising in you in ways that feel unfamiliar at first. You will respond differently to situations that once overwhelmed you. You will see patterns more clearly. You will sense when to move and when to pause. Discernment will become sharper. Peace will become a guide. Confusion will lose its grip. This is not accidental. It is the result of everything you have been walking through. There is a stability forming in your life that will not depend on external approval. You will no longer need constant validation to feel secure in your direction. You will not be easily shaken by opinions or comparisons. There is a confidence emerging that is quiet but firm, rooted not in pride, but in clarity of who I am shaping you to become. The season ahead will also reveal fruit from what was once invisible labor. You may have sown seeds in tears, in faith, in obedience that felt unnoticed. You may have invested effort into things that seemed unrecognized. But nothing aligned with purpose is ever lost. There will be moments when you realize that what you did in hidden places has been forming results you are now beginning to see. There will be peace in decisions that once felt difficult. There will be closure in areas that once felt open-ended. There will be movement where there was once stagnation. Not everything will change instantly, but direction will become clearer. And clarity will bring a different kind of rest to your mind. I am also preparing your heart to handle increase without losing humility. Some of what is coming requires not only readiness to receive, but readiness to remain grounded. Blessings without grounding can become burdens, so I am shaping you to carry more without losing who you are becoming in me. Growth without foundation does not last, so I have been deepening your foundation even when you did not recognize it. You will begin to see that what you once prayed for from a place of desperation will now be received from a place of stability. Your prayers will shift, your perspective will shift. Your understanding of timing will shift. You will no longer only ask for escape from pressure, but also for wisdom within it. You will see that even difficult seasons carry instruction that prepares you for peace that is lasting. There is a grace going ahead of you that will meet you in ways you cannot orchestrate yourself. Doors will align without your effort alone. Help will come in unexpected ways. Timing will synchronize in moments that feel beyond coincidence. This is not because life becomes effortless, but because I am guiding the process you cannot fully control. Do not allow past disappointment to make you cautious to the point of closed expectation. Expectation anchored in me is not delusion, it is trust. It is not blindness, it is vision shaped by faith. You are allowed to hope again without fearing disappointment. You are allowed to believe again without assuming loss. There are conversations ahead that will bring clarity. There are encounters ahead that will bring direction. There are moments ahead that will bring confirmation of what you once questioned. Pieces that seemed disconnected will begin to align. What felt uncertain will begin to settle into understanding. Even your patience will not be wasted. The waiting has shaped how you perceive, how you respond, how you endure. You will not enter this season as you were before. You will enter with awareness, with humility, with strength you did not possess at the beginning of your journey. What is coming is not meant to overwhelm you, but to unfold you into a fuller expression of what has already been placed within you. You are not stepping into unfamiliar identity, you are stepping into revealed identity. What was hidden is becoming visible, what was forming is becoming active. What was prepared in silence is now moving into expression. There is a timing that is aligning now that will bring a sense of things falling into place. Not by force, but by orchestration beyond your control. You will look back and see that even delays were direction. Even pauses were preparation. Even closed doors were protection guiding you into what now stands before you as unfolding promise.